Gotta post all the Discords. I wanted to be on by 3, but that did not happen. I took a little nap, and we know how naps go. I sat down for a 15-minute nap, and it was an hour and 15 minutes. But I feel much better. Okay, just gonna cross post this everywhere, and then we should be good. You post. Going live, stream announcements. I don't even know if these work, but I just... Amazing. Okay. Feel free to ask questions in chat if something is not making sense, because this is the teaching moment. You're always able to ask questions, but if it guides the explanation, I'm more than happy to expand on something. The Berkey slurping was wet. Okay, we're being serious. We're being a serious streaming professional. Okay, so we're throwing with porcelain today. We're going to start by plopping it down on the wheel, trying to get it as centered as possible. I'll put just a little bit of water there so it'll kind of catch and suction to the bat. And then I push it down to the bat just to make sure it's good and on there. Take a little bit of water and go around the edge of the outside to seal that edge to the bat. Get the good slurps. When I'm throwing in my clay, I always make sure my hands are wet, the clay is wet, and I never touch the clay unless the wheel is spinning. We're going to start by coning up, and I'm using, you can actually see it when I touch it, I'm using this part of my hand to cone the clay, so it kind of makes an L shape, and then my thumb gets in there. And I'm applying even pressure with both sides of my hands, and the clay will rise into a cone shape. And then I use my right hand as a support and my left hand, again, that like L-shaped space, to push down. I'm kind of using the pad of my thumb there. I'm just going to push that clay down into a hockey puck shape. Where a lot of beginners will get thrown off is they will get so close to getting their clay really centered on the wheel, and then they'll move their hands away really quickly and the whole thing will get knocked off center. So I'm going to simulate that here with centering. So I'm going to push down my clay, it's going to be centered, and then I'm going to jump off the wheel. And so it was really close to being centered, but my quick movement coming away knocked it off center. So we're going to fix that and bring it back center. I'm using my elbows in my hip joints to center myself, get my body really set so that the clay isn't moving me, I'm moving the clay. So I'm going to use that same hand position and push in on both sides of the clay, moving up as I do to get it closer to center. Using my right hand as support, I'll push down with my left and come away slowly. It's already much more centered. I'm going to do one more because we really knocked it off center with that exaggerated example. If your hands get too dry, clay might come off in your hands. That happened to me there. And I'm just gonna push this down into a little hockey puck. I can tell there's a bubble in my clay. So I'm gonna do a little mini cone. Man, I really jacked it up trying to show you guys what bad form looks like. Okay. We're probably good to throw though. I like to check to make sure that it's centered. I mean, I can tell now, but when I was learning, I would put my hand over it, like cupping a boob, cup the titty. And if you can feel it moving any one of your fingers separately, kind of out, then it's not centered. If you can feel it moving among all of your fingers at the same time, at the same place, then it's centered. None of my fingers are like jumping out. As a beginner, I liked to find the center of my wheel kind of like a record spinning, as if my finger were like on the record. So I'll start it from the outside, and then I'll just slowly let it come towards the center. And when it stops moving, I know that I've found my center. It's right there. So I'm going to use both of my thumbs. There's 100 different ways that you could open a pot. Some people use 2 fingers like this. Some people use 1 finger. Some people use 1 thumb. Personally, I use 2 thumbs. And there is a bubble there. So we'll deal with that in a little bit. And I'm going to go down into my pot. If I were to place my finger here, I know that my pot is about that deep. And I want to leave about 1/4 of an inch to my pot. So right now, I'm at that first knuckle in depth. So I have about 1/4, half an inch to go that I could go down further. As I'm opening, I make that judgment call, but I'll show you guys a way to check once your pot is open. So I'm just pulling out with even pressure from both of my hands in opposite directions, both of my thumbs. And then I'm going to use a sponge to compress the bottom of my pot. So I'm going to use my left hand and a finger and a sponge. Start from the middle and work out to the 3 o'clock position as if this were a clock. If I feel like I didn't go deep enough, I can always add more pressure and pull more clay out. And then I just move back and forth at that 3 o'clock. Keeping my clay wet. And this is compressing the bottom of the pot to hopefully reduce cracks later on in the process. Next, I'm going to collar in my pot because it's kind of migrated out. And it's always easier to bring your pot out than it is to bring back in. So while it's little, I'm going to try and bring it back in. And then at this point, we are ready to throw our first wall or do our first pull. I'm going to use my sponge on the outside and hold it near the base of the pot and the bat and push inward with both of my fingers at a similar pressure, slowly moving up the pot. So we've got a slower wheel, slow hands. When I get to the top, I'm going to pinch the pot rim with my fingers and gently push down with my pointer finger. That just keeps our rim from getting too pointy. And now you can start to see kind of the beginnings of a vessel, a mug or a bowl. A little bit of a ridge, and then I'm going to move that ridge up my pot. My right finger is going to be inside the sponge. and see how my hands are touching each other at all times. That helps with stability. We do have a little bit of a wobble in this pot because of a bubble. When it starts to get really frustrating, I'll pop the bubble. I'm just pulling with even pressure till I get to the top of my pot, and I'm going to gently release. Moving really slowly away from that pot. You guys can see that little ridge. That's where the bubble is. We're going to keep working through it. If the pot fails, it fails. We've got 3 more balls of clay. So again, I'm going to pull my wall. I'm going to be a little less aggressive this time because I do already have that ridge, that wobble. Just want to be kind of gentle going over that wobble. There we go. Wonder if I can feel the bubble now. Might still be within the piece. I think we're okay. I'm going to get the water out of the bottom of my pot with my dryish sponge, my wrung out sponge. And let's go ahead and go for one more pull. Wet hands, wet pot, semi-fast wheel. I would say like 30 to 40% of total wheel speed here. Pushing in to the pot with both fingers. My inner finger a little bit higher. Moving that ridge slowly up the pot. And when I get to the rim, I'll slowly release. It's looking pretty good. Just smoothing out that rim. Now another thing that comes in handy with some beginner potters are the next 2 things we're going to do. So throwing with nails or a sponge like I am, I can't get as close to this bat as I want to pull all the clay up. So I'm going to use this wood tool, this angled wood tool. And I'm going to go straight down the edge of the pot, just like this, and take off any of the extra kind of apron that's gathered. There's not a lot here, but there's a little. Just going to go straight down the edge of the pot. Add a little bit of water in that groove. Go under that skirt we just removed and take off that ribbon. So now we can really start to see the shape of the pot as it forms. Here all the way through. The next thing that is common for beginners to do is to have a little bit of wobble in their pot. Oh yay, thanks. So if there's a little bit of a wobble in the pot and you want to take off the rim, I like to take a needle tool, and I'm going to use my pointer finger as my guidance. I'm going to put it at kind of a 45-degree angle to the pot and then support the inside of the pot. And I'm just going to slowly push that needle tool further and further into the pot, holding it steady at one place vertical. And when it's fully cut off that rim, I can remove it. Now I have a nice even rim here. I don't typically have to do that to too many of my pots now, but I like showing it as an option, especially for folks that are just starting out and they want a flat rim. Just going to take away the harsh edges with a sponge from that we just cut off. And then if you want to get into some fancy stuff, we can start shaping our pot. If I can find my rib tool. Oh, there it is. So I'm going to use this kidney rib tool on the outside of my pot. It's pretty flexible, so I can bend it into any shape. And then I'm going to use my sponge on the inside, and I'm going to push outward where I want the pot to get wider, and I'm going to push inward with the kidney where I want the sponge to either stay where it is or get slimmer. So you'll see the bottom of the pot move outwards. I'm pushing harder with my sponge hand. And then you'll see kind of the neck of the pot stay where it is or get skinnier, and that's me pushing harder with my kidney. But I always want both hands connected with the pot just to keep a good control. I'm going to flare this lip out over the kidney. And we'll go with that a second time because it's not quite the shape that I'd like. Again, pushing out with my inner hand. Up through the shoulder. And where the neck is, I'll keep it skinny. And then flare out the lip over the kidney tool. So I've got this kind of subtle feminine shape forming. I'm going to run my sponge over the piece gently just to remove any slip, any wet clay. Clean out the bottom of any potential water that's left in there. Clean up my bat. And then the last thing to do is to just wire the pot off the bat. So I'm going to take my wire tool with one handle in each hand, pull it taut. I wrap it around my finger one time, but up to you. I'm going to stop my wheel. Again, up to you. Some people like to wire off with the wheel moving. That freaks me out. So I'm going to hold my wire taut, push it flat against the bat, and pull it all the way through the bottom of the pot. So many times my wire tool has bounced right back into my pot. So keep a good handle of it and keep it away from your pot. And that's it. Call it a pot. That's it. So I'm going to remove my little bat off the wheel. And then that's the pot we just made. Da 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 da. So this is good for like a vase or a mug or a planter or a pencil holder, whatever you want it to be. It can be many, many things from here on forward. But that's it. Yay! Thanks, Blue. I'm a teacher by my day